All right, so let's talk about these points. You're going to either do a thumbs up for it works or thumbs down for it doesn't work. You all have thumbs, so I'm not excluding anybody. Okay, so for the first one, 3, -5. Thumbs up if it works, thumbs down if it doesn't work. 3, -5. Okay, so let's check out where 3, -5 is. It's right here in the shady region.
No, it's not.
This region's shaded.
Both of them are shaded.
Oh, it's not true for both. So 3, 5. You don't work. Let's check out 0, 5. That works?
Yeah.
Satisfies both inequalities? Okay. What about -6, 6? I'm looking for thumbs. -6, 6. But it's right on the line.
But it's a solid line, so it means
Oh, solid line means that works. Okay. 3, 3.
no.
Dude, it's right on the line, guys.
It's on the line.
Oh, dang. That line is... So you're telling me that 3 isn't less than 3? Okay, good to know. And -2, -2. It's on the side line. Oh, dang, it's also on the dash line, which means -2 is not less than -2. I meant to cross it off. It means -2 is not less than -2, so it does not satisfy both. Since it is on the dash line as well, not an answer. Yeah, Finn. Oh, you're still in thumb mode. That's good stuff. Okay, next up, this one. Raise your hand if you remember doing what's called an info gap from last year.
Huh?
Okay, so that's good. So it's kind of like I'm giving you some questions you need to answer, but not all the information you would need to answer them. And so what we'll do is we'll set it up, and then you need to ask me, you and your partner are going to work on some questions to ask me, and then I'll give you information if I think it's information you need to know. All right? So, thank you. With your partner, you are going to come up with the questions you would need to ask me to answer these questions I'm about to show you. Now, you can't just ask me these questions. I'm not answering these questions. I'm going to answer questions that you can use to get information to answer these questions.
Huh?
Yeah, so I will not answer these questions. I'll answer questions where you're asking for information that you could use to answer these questions. So there's a team, a competition. You know, whatever this competition is called a sturdy off, okay? And each team has to follow specific rules to participate. So 1, a team has 6 adults and 8 kids. Do they meet the membership requirements? And then the second question is, what's the maximum number of adults allowed on a team? So with your partner, you're going to come up with questions to ask me that I could give you information that you could be able to answer these questions. So make a list of questions with your partner, please. So I'm ready for your questions, and we'll see if I can answer them. Tess, what's the question you have? Okay, so price is of no issue for the competition. So that won't dictate who can join or not. So maybe free. Spencer.
What are the requirements for how much adults and children?
That's what I need a more specific question to answer. Hadley.
Why don't we have workbooks? It's in the question. Workbooks are in the question.
Oh, it's like your math notebook. Okay. Elliot.
What is the maximum amount of adults that are allowed to participate?
Okay.
It's already on the check.
No, that's what the question is. You need to ask questions to be able to answer that question. Raymond.
What are the membership rules?
You need to ask questions more specific. Grant.
What is the maximum amount of children?
Okay. So I can tell you, here's what I can tell you about the maximum number of children. If 3 adults are on a team, there must be at least 6 children. If 3 adults, at least 6 kids, okay? Okay, Bob.
We need 16 kids.
What's the maximum amount of adults plus 1?
No, 12.
Maximum number of adults.
Plus 1.
Okay, what I'll say is adults must be at most half the number of children.
Oh.
Adults
Okay, so what is it?
must be at most
We need 4 more kids.
half the number of children.
1/3 of the kids.
Okay, other questions. Finn.
What is the minimum amount of adults?
Minimum amount. A team without adults is allowed. No adults is allowed. Stein.
What are the amount of kids allowed?
So the amount of kids allowed is if there's minimum number of kids. Well, I kind of already answered that with the 3 adult, at least 6 kids.
Oh, I understand.
Yep. Okay, Micah.
What is the ratio of kids to adults?
It's 1 to 2.
The number of adults must be at most half the number of children.
Okay, and then
Olivia.
How many kids could be in the competition?
The maximum of kids. I can't tell you that. All I can say is the number of adults must be at most half the number of children. Heidi.
What is the maximum of people on the
Oh yeah. Teams can have 16 people.
Oh, now I get. Now
Okay.
It's gonna be.
All right. Any other questions you need, Ashley?
What is the name of the competition?
Micah.
what's the lowest proportion of adults to children?
The lowest proportion of adults to children. What I tell you is if 3 adults are on a team, there must be at least 6 children. A team without adults is allowed. Okay, so.
Wait, one more question.
Yeah, Raymer.
What's the minimum amount of people on the team?
We kind of said
You
that.
can't have a half a person.
There's no minimum. Okay. So 6 adults, 8 children. Is it legal?
No.
Why not?
Why not? Because they're.
Yeah, so if there's 8 children, how many adults would you have? Okay. Or if there are 6 adults, how many children would you need? 12. But 6 and 12 is 18. So they couldn't make that even work because you can't have 18 people. So what's the maximum number of adults allowed on a team? 30 seconds with your partner. What is the maximum amount of adults allowed on a team? Yep. So what's the max number? 5 adults, which would require 10 kids. So that's not the max number of people on the team, though, is it?
No, you can have 16 kids.
You could, yeah, but this is 5 adults is the most we could have on this team. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with a new competition. So instead of a gritty off, it's a sturdy off. Okay. Oh, instead of a sturdy off, this one's a gritty off. Okay. So another competition has new membership rules. You need to answer these questions by asking me questions. What is the minimum number of members that a team could have? How many adults and children would be on that team? And what is the maximum number of adults allowed on a team? You get 1 minute with your partner to come up with questions to ask me. Question time, baby. I'm ready for the questions. Tess, hit me with one.
How many adults per kid?
How many adults per kid? So here's what I'll tell you. Children must be 3 times that of adults. Okay? We have to have 3 times the children as adults. Will?
What is the maximum amount of people on the team?
Okay. 20 people out max. All right. Finn?
What are the maximum? Wait. What is the maximum amount of children on the team?
The total can't exceed 20, and children have to be 3x the adults. Evan?
What is the minimum and maximum of adults allowed?
So, adults, you need at least 2. And you already have.
So the minimum is 6 adults.
Okay, you need a couple more questions. You Raymer, you got a question?
Can there be 0 adults? Can there be 0 kids?
Oh, a team with only children. So, only children, not allowed.
Oh yeah, because adults have to just.
We have to have at least 2 adults, and then you have to have at least 3 times. Hadley,
What about only adults? Is that allowed?
a team with only adults, not allowed. I think you have enough information, by the way. So take 30 seconds to get your ideas together with your partner.
8 is the minimum number of members on the team, and adults should be 2 and children should be 3. I mean 6.
So, yeah, we get that. Because if we have to have 2 adults, we have to have at least 6 kids, right? That'd be the lowest number since we have to have at least 2 adults. Okay. 2, what's the maximum number of adults then? Ellie?
5, because if you guys have adults, that's 15 children.
So 5 adults, and then you have to have 15 kids, and that's your 20-person max? Awesome. All right, cool. So the reason I like to do these is this is actually kind of how you have to take in and digest math in the real world. There's like this general question out there, like how much flooring do I need to buy? And then the answers aren't just right there. You have to go like get the answers. You have to ask questions, do research, make measurements. And then once you have enough information, then you answer those questions. So it's to kind of mimic just the thought process of how we use math in the real world, which is the whole point of everything that we do. All right? All right. So let's look at these graphs that these make. And I just like to make the connection to the graphs. So this first one's situation 1. All right? And so you'll notice we said something like you could have 16 kids, no adults. But what was the highest number of adults that worked for that one?
5.
Yeah, it was 5, which is going to be right in here, right? So you can see that be the highest number. And then any of these combinations in here worked, including a team of no people. Here's what's cool about the second situation. Look at that at least 2 adults thing we threw in there. Look what that does. We have to have 3 overlap, and they overlap in that little triangle right here. That's kind of cool looking, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they're inequality.
Like we could add more constraints too. We could say like you have to have at least 4 kids on a team or something. And then there would be a line here. This way on top of it. I guess that wouldn't really cut anything out though, would it? So you could say you need at least 8 kids. And you could do that like this and go this way. And then it cuts it into that like quadrilateral right there. You could slice it up. It's kind of cool. So systems can have more than 2 constraints. They could have 3. That one has 3, right? I mean, theoretically maybe, but imagine theoretically if. Okay, with your partner, lesson summary. This should be quick. This is going to take 1 minute. Go.